Hello everybody, this is SeibenLore bringing you more Magic the Gathering lore. Today I want to go over the Black Mana Planeswalker Liliana Vess and tell her story of tragedy, greed, and misfortune. With that, let's begin. Liliana grew up on an unknown plane under the rule of her strict father, who also happened to be the general and ruler of the plane. Liliana had always been a bit of a temptress. Even at this young age, she would conduct herself in a manner unbefitting of the daughter of such a noble ruler. This type of behavior angered her father and those who ruled with him. They took it as a personal embarrassment. Her father's woes over her behavior did not change Liliana, however. In fact, it seemed that she was taking pleasure in causing her father anguish. This privileged life of hers would come to an end when her beloved brother fell under a dark corruption casted upon him by one of his father's many enemies. The family's top advisors on such matters tasked Liliana with fetching the herbs and roots required to cure her brother. Many of the top advisors agreed that this task could teach the girl a lesson in responsibility. Unbeknownst to them, the tree bearing the many ingredients needed to produce the cure had been burnt down by the same traitors who had casted the curse on the boy. Liliana was desperate to find a way to save her brother, and that was when a strange old man made his appearance known to her. He stated that he was a supporter of her father, and that he had a way to cure the boy. Liliana couldn't believe what she was hearing. She was overcome by relief. Unfortunately, there seemed to be a catch. The man said that her family would not approve of the cure being used on her brother, and he was correct as the top advisors attempted to prevent Liliana from administering the cure. Liliana, recklessly disobeying her elders as she always had, couldn't stand by and watch as her brother died when she had the cure in her hands. She rushed to his bedside and quickly gave her brother the antidote. The strange potion did indeed cure the boy of his affliction, but at a greater cost. The boy was driven insane by the brew, poisoning his mind and soul once again. As a result of this flagrant disregard for orders and sending her brother to an even worse fate than death, the advisors along with her father decided to cast Liliana from the home forever. The loss of her brother and her home caused Liliana immeasurable guilt and grief. These emotions soon turned to rage at the world and resulted in her Planeswalker Spark igniting. With the ability to travel throughout the multiverse, Liliana ran from her emotions and became as cold as the blind eternity itself. The Planeswalker Spark, at the time of Liliana's ascension, was a state of godlike power. Planeswalkers could not age, had immense powers, and were basically immortal beings. Liliana used this power to travel the multiverse, and from her travels, she came to the conclusion that all beings were out for only themselves. A few centuries after her ascension, an event took place known as the Great Mending. In short, temporal rifts in the multiverse threatened not only a single plane, but every plane in the multiverse. A group of planeswalkers set off to close these rifts, and in their success, they rewrote the rules of being a planeswalker. When the rifts shut, the planeswalkers lost most of their godlike powers. They could no longer control endless power and were limited by mana sources. They could now age and were no longer immortal. When the Great Mending occurred, Liliana could feel her great power leave her, and she was scared for the first time since the death of her brother. Liliana grew old, her beauty faded and her powers withered. She knew she was not long for the world of the living, and death scared her more than anything else. She used up the remainder of what mana she could scavenge up and tracked down a powerful demon seeking a way out of her fate. The demon bartered with the mage and gave her increased necromantic powers along with her ageless beauty in exchange for her soul. Liliana eagerly took the deal, and she was restored to a state that she remembered only in her youth. The first demon only sated the restored Liliana's hunger for power for a short while. Soon she would visit another demon, and then another, and finally a fourth demon lord. With each of these meetings and with each deal made, Liliana lost more of her own personal freedom, but gained more power and beauty. She brokered deals with the demons using the power she gained from previous deals with demons, basically taking out a loan to pay for another debt. With each deal she made, her body grew more elaborate markings. These markings would be her constant reminder of who had control over her soul. The markings would become visible with more of the power that she used. She gained so much power that she no longer feared death, for death was at her very command. But in her hunt for power and control over her own fate, she lost all control over her very soul. Her demon lords would oftentimes request dark favors from their necromancer, jobs she couldn't refuse to perform, but only wished that she could. Eventually, Liliana knew that this would have to come to an end. She wanted to gain control over her fate once again. She sought help from a powerful dragon planeswalker, Bolas. The great dragon assured the necromancer that he could deal with her demon problem, but only if she performed a job for him. He sent Liliana to Ravnica in order to dispose of Tezzeret, the leader of the Infinite Consortium and hated rival of Nicol Bolas. She arrived there and came into contact with Jace Belleron, who had just left the services of the Infinite Consortium due to the mistreatment and abuse by Tezzeret. Jace was being tracked down by Tezzeret, who felt personally insulted by his abandonment. Jace only wanted to leave his troubles in the past, but Liliana took the opportunity to manipulate the Mind Mage in performing her task for her. She seduced Jace, and he soon found himself under her tempting spell, and then found himself planning an attack on Tezzeret's hideout. During this attack, Liliana's treachery came to light, and she was captured by Tezzeret. Jace fought Tezzeret and won, erasing his mind and rendering him powerless to control the Consortium. Jace also freed Liliana, after which he left and began leading the Infinite Consortium himself. What Jace was unaware of was how Liliana also fell in love with him during these events. She cared for him like she had once cared for her little brother, but loved him like she had never loved anyone before. She wanted to forget everything and run away with Jace, but the fear of her demon lords prevented her from acting on any desires. With the Consortium now being controlled by Jace, Liliana had nothing to bargain for Nicol Bolas' help, so she left Ravnica in order to find a new way to overthrow her demon lords. Kothofed, one of the demon lords in control of Liliana's soul, set her on a task to retrieve a powerful relic known as the Chain Veil for him. The relic was known to give the wearer immense dark powers, something like a demon like Kothofed desired greatly. Liliana went to the plane of Shendalar and found the tomb where the relic was hidden. There she ran afoul with the Planeswalker Garruk. She found and placed the chain veil on her head, and used the power to defeat the Green Planeswalker just before planeswalking away. From that point on, both Liliana and Garruk were cursed by the chain veil, destined to remain enemies for all time. The power of the chain veil delighted Liliana, and Kothofed unknowingly played right into the necromancer's hand. The relic he sent her to retrieve would be the device she used to finally end his existence and regain her soul. Liliana traveled to her demon master and confronted him while wearing the chain veil. He was enraged when she refused to relinquish the relic over to him, but Liliana was unimpressed. She casted a powerful black spell and tore the demon apart. Kothofed's lingering words whispered in Liliana's head as the markings placed on her by the demon began to bleed and cause her immense pain. She was distraught to find that the markings still appeared on her body even after killing one of the demon lords. She came to the conclusion that she must kill the other three in order to gain full control over her soul. She knew she could kill the other demon lords, if only she could find them. This was made difficult due to the great amount of pain and bleeding she was experiencing from her markings. She went back to the place where she found the chain veil, and used her necromancy to resurrect the wisest man who knew of the area. This act was looked at as an abomination to those who inhabited the plane. They formed a mob and tracked Liliana to a farmhouse, to which they set ablaze. Liliana was disoriented by her pain, but she was saved by the corpse she had resurrected. Acting not like the shambling undead she expected, the corpse lifted the necromancer up and away from the fire. Stunned, the corpse spoke in a cryptic tongue about Liliana's life, spitting out information no other living being should know about her. The zombie revealed to her that he was in fact the being known as the Raven Man. He is a being of timeless intervention, and he has in fact influenced many events in Liliana's life. He was the strange man who gave her the cursed potion to cure her brother. He orchestrated her obtainment of the chain veil. He sought to make Liliana the most powerful black mage in the multiverse, and he revealed himself to say that he had succeeded. The zombie gave Liliana a vial that was similar to that which she gave her brother so many centuries ago. She drank the elixir and her markings grew to a golden color. The potion had sealed the markings, curing her of the pain and bleeding she was experiencing. This small act of compassion on the end of the Raven Man was not enough to save him from her anger, however. She attributed him with the death of her brother, and stabbed the corpse so it could never live again. Afterwards, she placed the chain veil upon her head and planeswalked away. Finally cleared of her afflictions, she went on with her mission at hand: find and kill the other remaining demon lords. Liliana tracked the demon master Griselbrand to the plane of Innistrad, to which she traveled to end his life. When she arrived, she could find no trace of the demon. She found that the demon went missing after a fight with the archangel Avacyn. This little bit of information led Liliana to the Church of Avacyn for answers. She tracked down a man who knew where Griselbrand was hiding, the highest member of the Church of Avacyn, Mycos the Lunarch. Unfortunately, Liliana was a little late to ask the religious leader any questions, for he had already been killed by a legion of undead. This was no obstacle for the talented necromancer, however, as Liliana raised the fallen Lunarch as a zombie. The shambling corpse told Liliana the information she was looking for. The demon she intended on killing was stuck inside a giant prison meant to capture demons called the Hell Vault. This powerful relic was beyond Liliana's understanding, and thus she could do nothing to disturb it and free its prisoner. She could, however, cast a spell on it, which could lead another to open it for her. She laid the decision on the Cathar known as Thalia. The spell in the Hell Vault would only respond to her choice. Thalia could either save the lives of the men she commanded, or she could prevent the Hell Vault from opening, but to Thalia, this was no decision at all. As Liliana predicted, Thalia chose to spare the lives of her men, and in doing so, she broke the spell of the Hell Vault and freed all of its inhabitants, including Griselbrand.
My demon master resides within this Hell Vault. I cannot shatter it outright, but I can cast a spell that will make an unwitting fool the agent of its destruction. Such as Thalia. You, Cathar, save this shiny rock, or save the lives of your fellow warriors. How predictable. Griselbrand, the demon I seek to remove my curse.
Avacyn!
With Avacyn restored, my interests now lie elsewhere.
Legions of angels have been given a renewed sense of purpose, and clearly, strength is returning to our people. Archmages are again wielding their divine power. Once fearsome predators are now subservient guardians. And this reign of darkness will end.
The demon fled from the scene, but Liliana quickly tracked the demon lord down. Cornered, Griselbrand attempted to bargain with the necromancer. He promised her more power than she could ever dream if she would only spare him. Liliana saw through his lies, and she tore the demon's body apart from the inside out. With the power of her chain veil, Liliana travels the multiverse searching for the remaining 2 demon lords who have control over her soul. She has no idea what will happen to her once she is completely freed, and honestly, she has no idea what she would even do with her soul when she gets it back. Nevertheless, her mission will not be impeded by any force in the multiverse. She seeks personal redemption, and she will go through anyone who attempts to stop her. Liliana Vess has a very intriguing story full of despair and misfortune, and I think this is why she is one of the most interesting planeswalkers out there. While she may come off as evil, I believe her character is a bit more complicated than that. Sure, she will step on a few toes to get what she wants, but it's not like she is fighting for something meaningless. She is fighting for her very soul. She is trying to correct the number of mistakes she has made in the past, but in the process, she could be making more mistakes. In essence, her reaction to loss and fear is a very human one, and that is why you can't really define her as purely evil. Thank you all for watching this Magic Lore video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions regarding lore in Magic the Gathering, please let me know in the comments. As always, I'll see you next time.